Hey there, this is Mark, and welcome to the Day Trader's Quest. Apologies for not getting this uploaded on Friday. I had a bad day on Friday, and I had to walk away. Which meant walking away from all the trading stuff because, as you guys know, I set up some new rules. Because Thursday was a bad day. There on the what was that the fifth? That was a bad day, and then so I was like, all right, on the 6th, I'm restarting new rules. If you recall, it was going to be 3 trades. After 3 trades, I'm done. After the first red trade, I'm done. I updated my rules in TradeZilla. I did all those sorts of things to say this is what it is. And as evidence, as you can see on my page, I did not follow those rules. I had a total of 7 trades. I had a win rate of 40%. I actually lost 229. And worst of all, as we dive in here, I'm going to show you this. I am still open on a trade. I know. That's one of those vices that continues to get me. I want to go through these all with you guys so you can see what happened, where it went wrong, where it continued to go wrong, and why I really had to walk away. And I think this just again today, Friday just went to show you how much where you can have a plan, you can do all those sorts of things, but the moment your emotions get triggered, all that again, your brain gets flooded with that fight or flight response. And if it's a flight, all of a sudden ration goes out the door. And I think it's fascinating. That's honestly still the thing that really drives me to really understand trading is that aspect. I come from a world of team building. Like my career has been around how do we create teams, how do you get teams to embrace failure, things like that. That was child's play when you deal with teams and teamwork around failure. I think day trading for me has taught me more about failure than 16 years of teamwork coaching, executive coaching, things like that have taught me. And I think and that's what's been fascinating. And for me, it's an experiment of like, I did this with teams for years. Can I do it with myself with something that's harder than I ever expected it to be? So that's enough. A little soapboxing. Let's talk about March the 6th. Remember the 6th of March, right? There we go. And let's talk about where it all started. So we'll go through the trades one by one, and we will start with the very first trade. Now, as you can see, my first trade was taken at 740. So I was fairly patient. I had seen some things pop up. Again, with the Iran conflict going on, oil stocks were hit and miss, things like that. And then CRE popped up. CRE popped up, of course, and actually had previously popped up. If we come back over here, CRE had popped up on, in this case, at 4 a.m. So it comes up, hits a high of nearly $9, and it kind of comes back down. And you can see there was an attempt at VWAP here, kind of attempt there, and then finally it kind of broke. And so for me, I do love a good VWAP attempt. And so my problem though is it was pretty high in terms of like my entry. I got in for a VWAP attempt plus a break of the $5, and so I attempted that. And when I did, I came in, took that out at about 499. I came in, and it immediately rejected. You can see I bought it right about here. It slams down to about 480. I'm already beyond my stop loss, which that's a lesson to me on size. I took 1,000 shares. I probably should have taken 500 on this one, because then I'd be much more willing to risk a 20-cent drop, because really it's not a 10-cent drop that I'm really thinking about in terms of my loss. It's really the $100. That is my max loss I want to be. And so it drops, and I'm like, oh no. It then starts continuing to kind of come down. And when it hit I think it was like 71, I was proud of myself because I did pull the trigger, but not before I took a $290 loss. Now it came back, attempted again. It looks like actually 8 o'clock. This is just those other orders coming in that kind of skew the tape, but it really didn't. It looks like maybe at about 8:15, if I would have stayed, it did shoot up and come back down. But I mean, again, I'm not going to play on hope. And if I really was thinking about it, that would have brought me down nearly $900 on that one just to hope and pray. So that's not a strategy, and that's the strategy I've followed in the past that I need to try to avoid. So immediately took a loss, and at this point, you'd think I should stop. Right? I took a loss. I'm not. I shouldn't be doing this anymore. And it's larger, but my problem was it was so large that I was like, this breaks my whole fantasy I had in my head, where I'd lose $100 here and I'd win $300, or I'd win $300 the next day, and then I would continue to grow steadily. And so, of course, I go into revenge mode, and I shouldn't have. And so then I start jumping into other things. So Siri tempted to make a little bit back. I attempted a revenge trade on it, lost $22. So now I'm down not 290, I'm down 310. And this is purely all right, it's going to attempt it again. Now we're playing with emotions. It's not a good trade. CRE, then again, same thing. And with this one, I end up just breaking even though I was up at one point $173. It had spiked. Actually, I don't understand. I'm not sure how that would have been the case, but somehow I don't believe that that's correct. Let me put it that way. No, I wouldn't have been, because it was just hanging out there. And then UAVS showed up on my radar. So UAVS showed up and it popped up. And I was like, ooh, this is a stock that is less than $2. It's only up 30 cents from where it's at. It's moving. It's got news of a partnership. It's a drone company. So we're in war. Those are going to go. And I thought, yes, this is it. I'm going to get in this thing, and I am going to size up. I'm going to go into this thing and be like, yeah, let's do this. 3,000 shares. If I can make 10 cents, if this thing can go from my entry of like, what was that like? I think I was in at 132. If I can go to 142, I got 3,000 shares. Let's do this thing. That will make my loss back, and then I'll walk away, right? That's the stupidest thing I could be saying to myself, but in my head, it was sounding right. So I did that, and I came up, and I kind of came down, and then I kind of hung on below it. I had about 3,000 shares. It never got to my average. Actually, it may have done it for a second, and then it drops. I average down again. And it comes in after the open. I average down a fifth time. I am 5,000 shares deep in this thing. It did for a moment come up and tap 125. That is my average right now. Should have gotten out. Didn't do that. It has continued down. In the after hours, it kind of popped up to 112. Again, my average is 125. We'll see what happens tomorrow on Monday. This, again, it is a kind of a war topic area. The company they made a partnership with was an Israeli company, so all the ingredients are there. It's just if it's just there, it's not gonna do anything. Instead, it needs some sort of news. If it gets any sort of catalyst, I should be fine. I should be able to close this. But this is just a great example of what not to do. Well, let's be honest, what not to do. Now, what I should have done, because this was, what was that? That was about 8 o'clock. This and another stock popped up at the same time, and that's the one I should have looked at. This one was a larger cap. This one's sitting at like 40 million shares. There's a small cap stock that I did trade, and I should have just traded that one because I would have been fine. I should never have traded it because it was already breaking my rules. But if I were to one, and that is PRSO. So PRSO comes up 8 o'clock. You can see coming in from about 90 cents, climbs $1.20, all the way up to $1.60. Continues to go. It hits a peak at 189. It continues up there to something. This is one where I had two stocks to pick from. I picked the wrong one because I didn't look at, I was picking off of emotion. I was picking off, I was looking at it from a lens of what I saw first, and I needed to make money back. So I should have looked more closely. I should have looked at the market cap. I should have looked at those things, and I didn't. And so for me, this is one where, again, I felt a little bit of FOMO. It kind of came in here at like 163, and I was like, oh man, it's kind of come back. I'm going to see if it can bust through the high. Oh, it doesn't do it. And you know what? Of course, and this is one, oh, this one made me mad. This is one where I held as it came down here. I was in 158, came down to about one. It broke my stop loss just a little bit, and it came up. My problem was is I had my hands on my hotkeys. My hotkeys are Shift and then S for sell. So Shift S. I had Shift hit. My finger was hovering over S, hoping for exactly what happened, a nice little pop. This kind of consolidation, this wedge down and pop. My finger slipped and I hit the sell button right here for a loss. It then goes on to go up 15 cents. I could have made 150 bucks on that one if I hadn't. So I need to watch my hands on that kind of things. That was a stupid loss. I then went and I did trade it again. This one was actually a good. So this was that pop. It kind of came down, consolidated some more, came up. When I bought it for the break of that high, and so came in here, came up, took it for 90 cents. Probably could have made about my 100, but I didn't. But I was very glad for that. And then of course it starts coming down. So that was it's a good trade. Shouldn't have traded it, but again, this was the stock I should have focused on. I then decided to trade Sneak. This was another one that popped up. Again, at this point, I'm tilting a little bit. I'm even only trading what I have available in cash. I could only afford 250 shares of this at $1, and that was all I had at the time. So I kind of came in and I was like, all right, $1.48 kind of comes up. All right, let's see if I can get a bounce. I make 12. I make 12 bucks on it, which isn't terrible. It's 5 cents on it. This one is, of course, another one that dropped and then kind of came back up as throughout the morning. But this is a great example of a bad day made worse by bad decision making. And so if I go back and I look at even that week, if I go back and let's go look at my dashboard here for last week, I had some good days. I mean, I made 600 bucks. I gave away most of that. I gave all of that and then some with my bad trading on Thursday. And then Friday, I wasn't careful. I didn't lose as much as I originally lost, but that's not a consolation. I broke my rules. It was a bad day. I should have showed no more than 3. So I ended the week red, $669. The nice thing is that historically, if I look back at my months, if I look back at February, things like that, that's not something I can totally make that back up this upcoming week if I'm disciplined, if I'm really focused on good trading. But the problem is I need to really work on when I have a bad loss, and I work on position sizing too to manage that. So Friday, bad day. Again, if we're going into a hero's quest analogy, we think we get through the fog. We think we got back on the trail, and then something else takes us right off. And again, it's only I saw a sign in my kid's school that I think it's a great way to think about it is that it's only a mistake if I don't learn from it. And so I need to learn from this. I need to say, you know what, that 290 loss, that was on me. If I would have walked away at that point because it had gone so quickly against me, I would have said I didn't actually break my rules. If I would have walked away and I just like, you know what, I went in too hot and it did that, I would say, you know what, I kept my rules and it went against me too hard because it did. But no, I couldn't accept that. So this was a mistake. Now to tomorrow, if I do it again, that's a mistake. Can't do that anymore. So again, this quest is never over. There's learning points along the way. So I'm gonna pull my boots back on and I'm gonna hit back on that trail and in search for what we're all out there for. I'm looking for profitability, consistency, and a better life, and I wish that for all of you too. So as you head out there this week, it's going to be a volatile week, as we can imagine with Iran. Good luck. Focus on that consistency, focus on that discipline, and that profit will come. Good luck, everyone.